Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 40k Badcast. My name is Dan Boyd. I'm joined by Campbell McLaughlin, and we are bad at 40k, and you can too. Campbell.
Yes.
Can you feel it?
I can feel it. I can feel the warp overtaking me.
Can you feel the changes? The changes to your body?
I'm going to be a victim of changes. It's like I'm going through second puberty right now.
I'm going through at least third puberty at the moment, judging by the amount of hair. But that's right, listeners. It's episode 9. It's the Tzeentch episode.
The Tzeentch episode.
Cue the He-Man soundtrack. Because that's what Tzeentch is to us, Skeletor. First, Campbell, let's break it out. The Auspecs. What do you got going on your hobby radar?
I've got some bunch of Carl Franz's pajama pals from my Empire on the paying table right now, and that Terminator chaplain that came out a little while ago for like store openings and GW stores and all that stuff. And that guy's over detailed as hell, but I kind of love him. He's super cartoony and cool. So that's about it for me actually working on stuff. I finished a tactical squad for my Templars and some servitors a little while ago, but I got a bunch of games in the past week. I played against Alice and her Eldar. She has unfortunately listened to at least one episode of the show.
That's too bad.
Yeah, I'm really sorry about that. But anyway, it was a pretty one-sided game, I'll admit. I brought my Valhallans and pretty much just shot her off the table. She's new to the game, ish, and we were playing at Hobby Bunker over in Malden, which is a pretty decent store. And weird old townie was watching us the entire time, and she was like, I was in the army for 10 years, so I don't know what happened between the years of 2007 and now. Could you guys fill me in on stuff? Also, I bet you didn't paint those models. Your dad did, right? And I'm just confused. So that was an experience.
Really cool.
Yeah, and then some War Machine players with unpainted models started using questionable language at the table next to us. It was pretty all right. I also played
playing games in public places.
It's so fun. I love just hanging out in a sweaty underground bunker full of people who don't usually see the sun. It's really nice.
It's really good.
But after that, just this past weekend, I played a game of Age of Sigmar with my dad. He brought a bunch of his old 70s Napoleonics figures, and he just runs them as Empire, and we played a pair of games. That was a lot of fun.
Dad Hammer. Awesome,
a different kind of old hammer. Yeah.
I saw on Warhammer TV that Duncan just put out a video for painting Empire guys.
Yeah,
or I guess they're Free Guild now, or whatever the fuck.
Free Guild Guard, not Empire State Troops, but it's a little different from how I do it. Theirs is a more creamy scheme. Mine's more black and white, or it's that same red and white scheme, but mine goes with pure white and black wash instead of cream and brown wash.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a good looking thing. Anyway, how about you? What you been working on?
Well, I've been sporting it up over here, man. A lot of Blood Bowl. Finished out the Orc team, the Red Fangs, and started the Triple Skulls Blood Bowl League here in the DC area. Listeners, if you want to join, contact at 40kbadcast.com. There's 10 players already. We had our first league night this week. 10 people showed up. Well, 9 other people showed up, and got a bunch of games in. There's a bunch of noobs in the league, so we spent some time teaching them how to play. But I did get a couple of games in and won both.
Wow! Congrats.
Yeah, the Orcs are a pretty strong team in Blood Bowl, and there's a lot less of a headache to play than the human team, because when my guys go down, they probably won't get hurt.
Yeah, which is tough.
Which is good times. So I'm really enjoying that, and it's just so much fun to play Blood Bowl. Yeah. Which, it took me a very long time to paint my guys, and I will include some pictures of them.
I don't recall.
But I will say, and we're going to talk about this in our next segment. I have already finished another model since that team.
Wowie zowie.
Yeah, because I was just painting one model instead of 10 at a time.
So important question: do the Red Fangs have a number 13?
Yes.
Good. I'm very happy about that.
He's currently still in the box. I only have 12 players on the roster right now, but he'll be getting out there soon.
Right, cool.
Is there anything else before we move on to one more thing in the Auspecs that we just talked about in the pre-show?
New models that came out.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That sweet Shadow War Armageddon terrain part 2.
Yeah.
There's some big weird furnace thing that looks like the size of a gallon tank. That thing's cool. There's another thing that looks cool. What I'm excited about is the little tractor train thing, so I can finally build my grimdark train layout in the basement.
Fuck yeah, dude! That and the claw machine from the arcade.
Yeah,
really excited about that. No, all flippancy aside, I really like those terrain pieces. I think they're really cool.
Oh yeah, no,
I got some of the Sector Mechanica stuff in the Shadow War kit.
Yep,
and I'm really excited. Once I get a large enough place to do it, to start building out a terrain collection, and I'm gonna definitely use those pieces.
Oh, actually, we're moving to a new place that is bigger, so we can actually play next time you're in town, we can actually play a game somewhere where I don't have to duck under the table if I want to get myself another beer.
That was pretty funny.
It was funny, but it gets old.
Especially when I started refusing to get you beers.
And forcing me to crawl under there like a fucking goblin.
Because it made me laugh. Speaking of goblins, Goblin Team came out for Blood Bowl.
Ooh, nice segue.
Right,
yeah, they did. I like they've got little like moon helmet type things.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of goblins and just about anything. I'm going to buy them. Hopefully it won't take me 100 years to paint them like it did the last time.
It should only take you 50 years to paint them. They're half as small.
It's true. And I really love the special weapon, secret weapon characters they have with the, not to be confused with secret miniatures, but the chainsaw guy, the fanatic, and the bomber.
Dude, I love the bomber just running with the bomb.
He's got the fucking giant bomb like Batman.
Yeah, like 60s Batman. Yeah, you just go try it, but except he'll actually throw it into the lake full of ducks.
Yeah, really excited about that. Love goblins in Blood Bowl. They're not good at winning the game, but they're hilarious to play.
No, if I ever end up playing Blood Bowl, like goblins are probably gonna be the guys I play because I want to have fun losing.
Yeah,
I want to use them as an excuse for when I lose.
Here's a tip for goblins in Blood Bowl: is don't try to win. Just try to hurt as many players on the other team as possible.
You sound like me arguing with people on the internet.
Well, they do get a couple of trolls for the team.
They do.
Hey-oh. All right,
Woo, up high.
Last thing in the Auspex is Games Workshop has been leaking a lot of stuff about 8th edition.
It's less a leak, more like a steady trickle.
Yeah, every day. They've been putting something out every day, including weekends.
Yeah.
Which is lighting the internet aflame, to say the least.
Causing a stupid amount of speculation on things that nobody has the facts for.
Real quick, everybody listening. If you do not know what the rules are going to be, do not post on the internet in popular Warhammer 40,000 forums about what you think the rules might be.
Yeah.
It is the middle of May. This stuff is supposed to come out in June or early July. Just wait.
Yeah, keep your pants on for a month.
Please. I'm begging you.
When I see the massive spreadsheet type things people have worked out for well, here's how much damage I think Heavy Bolter is gonna do to an Eldar Fire Prism, which they leaked a smidgen of the possible rules for today in a minor post. It's just dude, just stop. You're gonna be proven wrong in 5 minutes once this stuff actually comes out. You're wasting your time. I get it. You're excited. And that's cool. You should be excited. It's an interesting time and it's fun to speculate and stuff like that. But when you start doing you're starting to do equations when you don't have all the numbers to do the equations. You're just wasting your own time.
Just wait. It'll be okay.
Math hammering out rules without context is dumb as hell. Put that on my tombstone.
I'm sure whatever weapon you want to play with when it comes time to play 8th edition 40k, I'm sure it'll be fun and I'm sure it'll be fine. But just shut the fuck up about it.
See, it all reminds me. There's this old lore in my my old gaming group where there was a guy who would come and he would brag about the fact that his army list had, I think it was 75 heavy bolter shots in it, and he was like, "Yeah, turn one, I could put 75 heavy bolter shots downrange," and from what I gather, now that would actually be fairly impressive. Yeah. In 4th edition, a little less so.
Well, they told us how wounding works. They've told us pretty much how shooting works. They've given us profiles for the weapons. They've even given us data sheets. Yeah,
it's like the Age of Sigmar style single-page rules.
I'm all for it, man. I'm really excited. Yeah. I think that it's going to be a lot more customization and a lot more interesting ways to build armies. And I can't wait to see really what's effective and what's not. I'm a little worried about my battle cannons, though. I got to tell you, Campbell.
Yeah, like I'm hearing some arguments that maybe, all right, so like for those who aren't listening or who haven't read up on it, like a Balakan apparently does D6 hits and each one does D3 damage and they're strength 8 and AP minus 2 or 3 or whatever. Like, but if you math that, like, okay, we're math hammering out hypotheticals. Fuck,
Didn't we just say that we shouldn't do this?
I'm just gonna stop talking right now. Let's move on to the next segment.
Yeah, well, again, 8th edition's coming out. Very excited for it. I'm really liking the way that they're teasing out all this information, and just I'm ready. I'm ready for a new 40k.
I'm a little worried I might get burnt out on some of the information they're dropping out, but they started putting out things I can safely ignore, like those like the faction spotlights that tell you fucking nothing.
Yeah, those are great. Except especially the one written by Reese Robbins.
Yeah,
who is his writing style. Well, you know, I hate to speak ill about another podcaster in the 40k universe, but it's Reese here is a great way to start out pretty much everything. Anywho, we wanted to have a painting discussion today with our podcast because I just got finished doing a pretty big project by at least Dan's standards, and Campbell has been doing a lot of batch painting and a lot of multi-model painting projects in the past few weeks. So we wanted to have a discussion about batch painting. Batch painting, Campbell, is when you paint more than one thing at once. And it's all batch, the same, I guess, scheme or color or whatever.
Or at least similar scheme, yeah.
I've done it with Guardsmen. I've done it with Orcs. I've done it with Raven Guard Space Marines, which are extremely easy to paint. If you want to have a quick to paint army, let me tell you something about black paint over black primer. It's pretty simple.
It helps.
Which you're doing with your Black Templars right now, right?
I am, although at one point I went up to a batch of 15 and that was a bit much, or a batch of 10 with jump packs and that's a bit much. But there's also a lot of extra shit in them, like all the Templar bits and all the white shoulder pads, and it gets to be a bit more complex than just, say, like painting some guys black and having that be it.
Right. So let's quickly talk about what batch painting is, and then we can move on to why people do it and how and all that stuff. But batch painting, like we said, is you got a bunch of models and you're painting them, if not the same way, then in a similar fashion.
So you'll basically take one color and do it across 5 models or 10 models or 20 models or, God forbid, 30 models. And then by the time you get to the last model, the first one will be dry and you can do the next. So I'll just start with, let's say I have 10 guardsmen. I'll paint the boots in all 10. Then I'll paint the body armor in all 10. Then I'll paint a wash on all 10. And you just keep going back and doing more or less the same process on every model. And
people do it because for the group of models, it cuts down on time. It's assembly line-ish.
Yeah. It's a little bit mindless, but yeah. Because if you're taking the time to meticulously paint every single dude, and you've got, let's say you're painting your kill team for something, or you're painting your gang for Necromunda, that's fine. But when you've got an army that requires, 120 guardsmen like my Valhallans, you gotta figure out a solution for painting more than one at a time, because it's gonna take you fucking forever to do one dude at a time.
And that is the Emperor's honest truth right there. So I usually do it by color. I don't know about you. Mm-hmm. So I'll do, like, when I'm painting my Steel Legion, I'll start with the base coat. Well, spraying black, start with the base coat for their heavy overcoats, and then move to the leather colors like boots and gloves and masks, and then move to black for the weapons and the helmets. Then do some bolt gun metal or whatever the fuck it's called now, highlights on what should be metallic. And then you just do that on every single one, and before you know it, you're kind of mostly done on the miniature.
See, my one problem with that is a lot of time if you don't know the scheme super well and what the results are going to be super well, you can be kind of doubting yourself up until maybe you're 90% done. Then you go, oh, wait, now I'm putting the last highlight on all these guys. Now it's looking good. So for for all painting, but especially this sort of stuff, planning is really important. I keep like little text files of all my paint schemes for me to follow.
Oh, that's really smart. I don't even do that.
Yeah, no, it's good because like when you have a dozen armies or whatever, you forget how to paint your old orc boys or your old guardsmen. So it's good to have a set scheme that you can follow and refer back to. Because, so here's one of my nightmare situations. those Empire guys I was talking about, they have a red and white quartered scheme. And I was really overconfident with how good the base paints are at covering black. So I had a squad of 20 Empire crossbows, and I batch painted them white and red over black. Now, here's the next problem. I didn't do a test model. I did the entire regiment as a test model. So I'm just going, hating my life as I go, like, here's the third coat of white on each dude, and then the third coat of red on each dude on every single guy. And it was completely my fault for not planning out the scheme ahead of time. And so that's important to figure out a process before you really do this and do a test model. Like, I know it can seem
please do a test model.
It can seem kind of like, it's like, oh, I'm painting this guy. Well, if I'm painting this guy, it means I'm not painting a whole squad because batch painting is so much more efficient. But Jesus Christmas, do a test model. So like the next regiment I did, I primed gray and they went fine. I'm going to go white with primed white in the next regiment I do and see how they come out. But it was an absolute nightmare.
Yeah,
so
I feel you on that one. I did when I was doing my orcs who were majority yellow. I did 6, the first 6, which, you know, it was fine. It was okay. It didn't take. I mean, painting yellow with lots of subsequent layers is, you know, can be very, very boring and tedious.
Yep.
But when it's only 6 guys, it's not so bad. And then I did 10, and oh my god,
yeah,
the jump from
idea.
6 dudes to 10 dudes was nuts.
Well, that's why I've had to cut down my batch painting, because I was doing 20 guardsmen at once, 20 Empire guys at once, 20 orcs at once. Signs even more, and I've cut it down to 10 as my max. And like for Terminators, I'm going to do 5 Terminators at once, and it's going to feel fine.
I think that's smart.
So, because when you do one step and you do it 20 times, you're going to get real bored, and that can burn you out pretty quickly. Like those Empire guys, I didn't paint another Empire model for a month and a half after I finished them because I was so discouraged.
That's what happened with the fucking orcs, man, because I was out there, I was doing 10 orcs, right? 10 coats of Averland Sunset over black.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, 10 models with that, and you need 2 or 3 coats per model with that.
Yeah, sucks.
You know, we talk about, or you know, a lot of people talk about the whole hour a night thing for painting. Just put in an hour a night. You do that for an hour, and you've made no fucking progress.
Yeah, you can't even tell you to try.
You can't see your progress, and it gets very, very discouraging.
So
I had to like stop doing anything else in my free time for the last, I don't know, 2 weeks to get this team ready for the start of the Blood Bowl season.
I believe it.
I did. Last 2 weeks I was like, can't go out because I have to paint. Can't go to the gym because I need to paint. And that, I got to tell you, that got fucking tedious.
I believe it. So I've got 2 kind of ideal cases here beyond just doing a small squad. Actually, three ideal cases. So right now I'm batch painting this squad of that squad of Empire dudes, but I'm also working on that chaplain at the same time. So when I get tired of kind of just doing like red pants, I can move over to this character model who is completely different, and I can just do something special and unique and different on him, and it works as kind of a nice treat to break up the tedium.
That's a good idea.
Another ideal case was one time I was batch painting 30 Valhallans at once.
Oh my god.
But it was with a simple scheme that I had memorized on models that don't have too much detail. But I was doing, like, I just had them at my painting table next to my computer, and I'd just be doing something and be like, I've got 20 minutes, washing everybody, put them aside, and just go back to what I'm doing. And whenever I felt like it, I would just do one step on everybody and just go do something else. And in a week, they were all done. And they looked good, just because I didn't laser focus on them. Because if you do one batch step and that's all you do, it's not that taxing. And when you break it up over the course of a day or a week or whatever, it doesn't feel that bad. If I were to sit down right now and be like, all right, time to hatch out 30 Valhallans, and I were to sit here till they were done, well, first of all, I'd be here until Monday, but I'd also be crying by the end of it.
Yeah, it's tough to do that when you have a ton of models and you're trying to cram everything in. Batch painting works when you can revisit the project over and over and over.
Yeah.
Otherwise it's just far, far too tedious.
And my final ideal case was I batch painted 30 grots who are so tiny and quick to paint that it didn't really matter that they were detailed. Yeah. It was really like painting 15 models. It wasn't that bad.
Have you ever batch painted tanks?
I batch painted 2 Hellhounds and I finished them in a day. And I got kind of sad because I was hoping these would last longer.
For Nova 2 years ago, I batch painted 6 tanks.
Brutal.
It was awful.
Yeah, when you like over dry brushing, it really sucks. Like when I dry brushed my shadow sword, I had tennis elbow. Like I couldn't use my right arm for like 2 days after that.
The thing that gets me is when you're doing a ton of that, you start to lose focus with your eyes, or at least for me.
Yeah.
Where I stop seeing the paint that I'm painting.
Yep.
So it's a good idea to maybe, so I am a video editor in my like real job, and when we're doing color correction, it's important to have to be in a color neutral area. So you're not so you can recalibrate your eyes every now and then by looking away from your screen. Mm-hmm. And then looking back at the color, and it's because your mind gets tricked. If it sees something for too long, it starts to stop seeing that thing.
Yeah, my eyes just start drifting apart, and I start thinking about ice cream. That's about all I get.
Oh, ice cream would be great right now.
Ice cream would be great right now.
The air conditioning in the studio has ceased to function, so it's about 80 degrees in here.
I'm sorry, it's a good 30 degrees cooler than that out here. But.
Yeah, but we've done a little bit of complaining about batch painting, but it's a really important process when you're painting an army.
Oh no, it's important. Like I know this is a hobby and you're doing it to enjoy yourself ostensibly, but you should find the ways to make painting go by faster if you can and more efficiently if you can, because you're going to get frustrated if you're spending too long on each guy or whatever. Outline a process, figure out a scheme you want to work in, and make it work. And don't overcommit to your batches. Don't do batches of 30 unless you are doing Necrons. You're just washing and dry brushing them.
Let's figure out a checklist for new painters.
All right.
So my first suggestion would be make a test model.
Yep.
Well, I guess that would be the second, because you've got to outline your scheme first, right?
Yeah, you got to do your homework first.
Outline your scheme, make a test model. Mm-hmm. If you like it, then you're like on to the batch painting. And you can bring the rest of that squad in or whatever and start going color by color.
Yep.
That's what you do, color by color?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And then sooner or later, your whole probably quicker than you know it, your squad's done. Especially if you're not going too outlandish with details or using too many shades of white, I guess.
I'm only using 3 per guy. It's not a big deal.
Yeah. So if you guys have any thoughts or questions or whatever on batch painting or painting techniques or something, give us a shout. Contact at 40kbadcast.com. We paint a lot, the both of us.
Yeah,
Campbell
we both
is
play
much
guard.
more prolific than I am, but I spend probably 6 to 8 hours a week painting.
Oh, easily. But it's like we're both guard players. I play orcs too. I mean, batch painting is kind of a way of life for both of us. So, yeah, no, we're happy to help.
One thing, though, since I finished my Orc Blood Bowl team, I've been painting star players. And I just finished in about 3 hours of painting over 2 days. Yeah. I finished the Varag Gulchur model from Forge World, which the person who paints the Forge World Blood Bowl stuff, I'm not a fan of their painting style.
It's a really distinct painting style, but I'm not super into it either.
So I did it more along the lines of a heavy metal paint job.
Yeah.
With more highlight lines, edge highlighting, that sort of stuff. And I'm just painting one model was so refreshing and so much fun.
Treat yourself, man.
Because it was great that I didn't have to spend 2 hours with one color, with one pot of paint open. It was fantastic. I had a great time painting this model. I think he looked great. I'll post it in the show notes. I actually will. And I'm moving on to Morgan Thorg next. Another just single model get to paint. Mm-hmm. I'm loving it, man. Fucking McDonald's over here.
Dude, you got nice product placement. Cool.
And the great thing about painting single models, Campbell, is that the colors change between the models.
Whoa! You're blowing my mind.
That's right. It's time. Or are you doing air horns?
Yeah.
It's time to talk about Tzeentch. Time to talk. Better Know a Chaos God, our 4th and final chapter, Tzeentch. Though I guess we're going to have to revisit these in episodes 66, 77, 88, and 99.
And then again in episode 666, 777, and so on.
It'll be hard, but I think we can do it. Tzeentch, Campbell. Tzeentch is my favorite of the Chaos Gods. Just straight up. Number 1, my favorite. When I was a kid, looking through the old Warhammer Fantasy catalog, like, from the mid-90s. And I always loved the pink horror and blue horror models.
So if Korn is like the death metal album cover of the Chaos Gods, Tzeentch is the prog rock album art airbrushed onto a wizard van. It's just like a lot of colors, a lot of textures, a lot of weird shit, suns with faces on them, tentacles with more just a lot of faces everywhere, and a lot of wizards.
Well, I always liked the Tzeentch sorcerers. I always liked how they rolled around on the discs of Tzeentch, and they just seemed to me. I had a lot of bird stuff in them too, and I like birds, so it seemed like the most interesting of the Chaos Gods, and I would argue that Tzeentch is the most interesting of the Chaos Gods by far.
Yeah, he's far less one-dimensional than the other ones are.
He's multi-dimensional.
Yeah, that's kind of a shtick. So I've got a bit from the Old Realm of Chaos book to introduce Tzeentch here.
Gimme.
I think is pretty good. Tzeentch is known by many titles, including the Changer of the Ways, the Master of Fortune, the Great Conspirator, and the Architect of Fate. These titles reflect his masterly comprehension of destiny, history, intrigue, and plot. In his mind, he listens to the plans and hopes of every man and every nation. With his all-seeing eye, he watches these plans unfold into history. Tzeentch is not content to merely observe the fulfillment and disappointment brought by the passage of time. He has his own plans. Schemes which are so complex and closely woven that they touch the lives of every living thing, whether they know it or not.
So it's really interesting that Tzeentch is kind of hard to pin down as for what is he the god of.
So Tzeentch is an embodiment of change, and he's fueled by people's ambition and people hoping to change their lives, whether it's poor people wishing they're richer, or people wishing they were somewhere else, or people wishing they were greater in any way. All of that fuels Tzeentch in some way or another. He's aware of the plans and dreams of all mortals and uses that knowledge to influence the future.
He also is the embodiment of Murphy's Law. Just, and anything that will go wrong does go wrong.
Yeah.
Or anything that can happen will happen. The disorder in the system. That's what Tzeentch is. That's what how he gets in a lot of times when he corrupts people in the 40k universe. Is just something random happens, and then next thing you know, you have a full-on chaos incursion.
Yeah, and then the incursion gets stomped, and he goes, yes, just as planned. Because his plans can seem like contradictory, or confusing, or stupidly convoluted, or just complicated, and then they can go wrong, but guys, it's all just as planned, completely honest here.
Yeah, there is a trope with Tzeentch within the writing for 40k where that weird thing that happened because Tzeentch meddled with that person's mind or that person's perceptions, and Tzeentch was using Eldrad Ulthuan as a proxy, or it's very easy to have Tzeentch be this universal mastermind.
Yeah, and they write him that way, so it's they can always say it's just as planned when the Thousand Suns get their shit kicked in by the Space Wolves.
Yeah, I'm sure he really planned that one out.
Yeah, completely.
We'll get to the Thousand Suns and their 10,000-year history of failure in a little bit. But let's talk a bit more about Tzeentch, and specifically Tzeentch demons. Well,
Tzeentch himself is not really portrayed. So normally the greater demons of each god kind of portray what they look like the Bloodthirster looks like Khorne, the Great Unclean One looks like Nurgle, but Tzeentch is written as just being this ever-shifting mass with faces moving all over him that speak when he speaks, but they'll say different things and sometimes contradictory things. And the old art from Rogue Trader has him look kind of like a giant horror with a big face in sort of a chest area without a neck and horns coming out of that. It's weird. He's just a weird-looking dude.
Let's start from the ground up, like we normally do with demons. There are a trio of horrors.
Mm-hmm.
There's the Brimstone horrors, which are little flame dudes.
They're little malicious little fireball things.
Very adorable, if I say so myself. Very, very cute, very cute. They pop out when you kill a blue horror.
Which are these sad, sullen horrors where they're characterized by incessant whining, much like the 40k community.
Fuck yeah. And they pop out of pink horrors.
who are just like always laughing, and they're made of pure psychic energy, and they can just unleash that at will and just spit out fireballs all over the place.
In the Yarick books, in the first Yarick book, before he becomes the hero of Armageddon, he's sent to, man, I forget, some fucking planet, and a Tzeentch incursion happens, and he has to fight a pink horror.
Just one?
Just one, and it fucks up like an entire squad.
Jesus.
Yeah, they're this like rolling ball of insane change.
Yeah.
And they're just shooting psychic force and flames and shit out of any part of their body. They're what might be an arm 1 second, next is a mouth with horrible fangs clamping down on your hand as you try to grab it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like John Carpenter's The Thing. Remember that movie?
Yeah, very much so.
I think that's how they sort of characterize that. And it's gibbering and talking, and like not only in the what you can hear, but also in your mind.
Yeah, because Tzeentch is kind of like a lot of the whole like gazing into the void gazing back, and people going insane from all the warp shit tends to come more from Tzeentch.
The Eldritch horror kind of aspect of 40k.
Yeah, and the untouched power, all that stuff.
Well, my favorite demons of all time are Tzeentch demons, flamers.
You mean the upside down jellyfish?
The second edition 40k flamers, which I guess were like third or fourth edition fantasy flamers, where they were just bird dudes with dresses and like fungal growths for hands.
Yeah,
I loved those models.
Oh, those were wacky ones.
And they were fucking rad too, because their whole thing was like their fungus bodies allowed them to bounce everywhere. They moved by like bouncing.
That sounds really intimidating.
They used to
bouncing fungus.
They used to move like jump pack troopers in like
I'm pretty sure
in fourth edition 40k, if I remember correctly.
I'm pretty sure if you have bouncing fungus, you should see your doctor.
They've also got the screamers of Tzeentch, which are like big stingrays in the sky.
Yeah, I like those things. Those are cool. They're like really weird, and they just kind of they float and fly around looking like manta rays and stingrays, but they have this like lightning jaws.
I remember
they're
there
also known
was
as
a couple
sky
years
sharks.
ago at Nova, right after Sharknado was popular, somebody made a Sharknado display with a bunch of screamers for their tournament list.
I saw that same guy at Nova and at Adepticon.
Yeah, I think, was it the same guy?
I mean, it was the same guy in the case I saw. I don't know if it was the same guy you saw, but he had like it looked like those kebab spinner type things that are at kebab joints with the meat tornado. It looks like that,
yes.
But with like plastic sharks and streamers around it.
Shawarma spinner.
Yeah, that's it.
Fuck yeah, I love that shit. I love it. Just,
I could go for a shawarma.
Sweaty meat hanging out.
Yes.
All day.
Room temperature, day long sweaty meat.
All right, what's after
the same smell as a Warhammer tournament.
What's after Screamers? What comes next?
Discs of Tzeentch, which are kind of like they started like fluff wise. They were in there before Screamers were, and they were kind of referred to in the same way as like the Sky Sharks and stuff like that. But they're generally the mounts that sorcerers and champions of Tzeentch will ride.
They're like hoverboards from
Back to the Future.
Back to the Future, yeah.
But they're different. Like some are smoky and indistinct, some are made of living metal, and some look like more weird manta ray type things covered in eyeballs.
Oh, they have a whole thing called
Menagerie.
the Change Host on that you can buy of all the demons.
Wowzers! In a one-click bundle.
In a one-click bundle.
It saves you so much time.
God, I like these guys, man. The Exalted Flamer. He's just like a flamer, but way fucking bigger. And okay, they recently came out with the Lord of Change model, and it's so gosh darn cool.
It is. I dread actually painting it, but it looks really damn cool.
They also have Kairos Fateweaver, Blue Scribes, and the Changeling are all special characters for Tzeentch characters. Kairos Fateweaver is a two-headed Lord of Change who casts all the fucking spells, because why the fuck not? That's the hallmark of the Tzeentch demons is they're some pretty good shooting, in the case of like flamers, and a lot of psychic powers.
Yeah, it's not an army that likes getting in close and getting punched, because they tend to be pretty fragile as far as demons go, but they can hit really hard with psychic powers and with a lot of shooting. Yeah,
when the whole summoning demons came into vogue, a lot of people would summon pink horrors, because you'd get more psychic powers and more options to summon from there. It would be like a big cascading bit of nonsense with pink horrors everywhere.
Ammo wizards.
Ammo wizards. Precisely.
So I like the blue scribes are this pair of blue horrors that are just on this like floating palanquin with quills and all this crazy writing equipment. And there's actually a copy of the 5th edition Warhammer rulebook on there.
Are you serious?
Yeah, if you look at the model, there's actually the
I'm gonna have to find this.
I don't know if they'll show it in the pictures on the website, but at least in the White Dwarf when it came out, you could totally see the Warhammer rulebook. Yeah, he's standing on it.
Ha! Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really cute. I like that. That's a really lovely touch. I think
I like this model. That's cool, man. They're on a big manta ray with a bunch of books and
eyeballs and mouths
and shit.
Under it.
And that's the cool thing about Tzeentch models is they get to be a little whimsical.
Yeah. Like that. See, my problem with a lot of Chaos Demons is that you lose Chaos Demons in armies like Tyranids is you tend to lose a lot of character because they're just manifestations of energy. They're not people. They're not individuals. They're just kind of this morass of weird motivated energy or creatures or whatever. While some of the characters for Tzeentch specifically do get some actual character, like the Blue Scribes. The Great or the Lord of Change and Kairos Fate Weaver. They're just covering all these esoteric baubles that they clearly like collecting. I like that stuff a lot.
My favorite thing about Kairos Fate Weaver, and I don't remember if this is still a rule, is that if there was a chance that if he got wounded, he would just run away. Which
I remember that.
I loved that. So Tzeentch plays, I would say, not that significantly different from other Chaos Demons, at least, in the fact that like Nurgle and Slaanesh use a lot of psychic powers, and they're more combat focused, I guess. Whereas Tzeentch is much more shooting focused. Their guys are usually just hot fucking garbage in combat.
Mm-hmm.
But you get a lot of psychic powers, a lot of shooting attacks, and of course, generating more. Because when you kill a pink horror, it splits into blue horrors, and when you kill blue horrors, it splits into brimstone horrors. So their guys tend to stick around quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, that's a more recent development. Well, it's an old school thing that they brought back recently.
Yeah, they didn't really balance it very well.
No,
recently.
Not at all.
But maybe in the new edition, they'll figure out that, hey, a unit that spawns 2 other units after it dies might be worth a points hike.
Just a few.
Just maybe a couple of points. One of the things, though, that can get annoying about playing somebody with a lot of Tzeentch stuff is, at least in the current 7th edition 40k, bound to change, is how long the games can...
Yeah, the psychic phase in most games doesn't tend to be that long, but against Tzeentch players, demon players, but especially Tzeentch players, the psychic phase is adding a good 20 minutes each turn.
Yeah, and that can be pretty rough. And especially when players start forgetting who has what psychic power, and you got to roll for every unit of pink horrors. Have to roll for a different. It can be a real pain in the ass.
It's a lot of bookkeeping.
I
think that's what the blue horrors are signifying.
Yeah, they're writing stuff down, man. Always. Just like the other Chaos Gods, they have their own Space Marine Legion attached to them.
That they do.
And in this case, they're called the Thousand Sons. And the Thousand Sons are, man, this is one of the coolest chapters or legions of Space Marines around. And joking earlier about how they failed, and they've failed a ton. And their history is marked with a fuck ton of failures. But still, it's one of the most compelling stories out of all the legions.
And the most tragic, too.
See, okay, I don't know if I want to call it tragic. I would call Angron, we talked about Angron last episode, I would call Angron's thing tragic. I don't think Magnus being an arrogant jerk counts as tragedy.
I think him trying to warn the Emperor and getting damned as a result of it does. Because he's the one who... basically after being told, stop using your brain magic, like, chill out, you're not allowed to do this anymore, and he foresaw Horus's betrayal, he went to he psychically beamed himself over to the Emperor and said, hey, bad shit's coming, but when he did that, he unleashed demons in the catacombs under Terra.
Okay, well, we're gonna spoil a bunch of shit here, because I'm gonna argue this point. He did not foresee it, he saw it happen. If I remember correctly. He saw Horus being corrupted by the Chaos Gods and immediately sent his astral projection to Terra to warn the Emperor. Yeah, good job. But here's the thing. The Emperor was in the webway, working on a project to allow humans to have access to the webway so they don't have to do warp travel anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way for Magnus to get to the Emperor was to smash through all of the psychic barriers the Emperor had set up and bore a hole into the fucking webway to talk to the Emperor. And what followed him in through the hole?
Hell.
Exactly. Demons. Chaos comes into the webway, making it so nobody can fucking use it.
No, it's like
no. It's you know what this is like. This is like I'll tell you what this is like. This is like you are walking home one night, and you see somebody breaking into your parents' house, right? And you walk in, and you have a gun on you, okay? And you walk up to the door. Just bear with me. You walk up to the door, and you are like, man, I got to get through this door. The door's locked. I got to get through this door. What the fuck do I do? So you start shooting the door, but the bullet goes through and hits your mom. And then your dad's mad at you because you killed your mom.
See, I was picturing more like
how's that for a fucking analogy?
See, I was picturing you're in the driveway working your car, and your kid comes up and is like, "Hey, Dad, look at this," and he throws it into the engine, and the engine catches on fire.
That's probably a better analogy than mine. But
I mean, it could be a gun. Who knows what the kid has? But
the thing is, the Emperor told. The Council of Nicaea, was very much the trial of Magnus. We all know this. It was very much like Magnus is the guy. We got to back up a little bit. For those that don't know, the Thousand Sons Space Marine Legion, their Primarch is Magnus the Red. He's called the Red because his skin is red. He only has one eye, and he's like way bigger than all the other Primarchs. And his hallmark is he's extremely psychic.
And his face is always changing. To be a different, like some people see him as like a Harryhausen style Cyclops. Some see him as a dude who just has one eye. Some people see just light.
He has a sick fucking model too. It's really tight. It's got giant nipple horns, big sword or big staff. It's really cool. And
although the heresy version of him doesn't have the nipple horns, I'm frankly a little disappointed.
We're all disappointed at that one. The original John Blanche art for Magnus involved large nipple horns, and god damn it, I want nipple horns on my fucking Magnus.
It's art. Put the nipple horns back.
Anyways, the Thousand Sons were a more psychically active than normal group, and when they got teamed up with Magnus during the Great Crusade, when the Emperor came across Prospero, the planet Magnus is from, Magnus was like, "Hey, you guys are psychers too," and they're like, "Yeah, I guess so." And then they all started doing a whole lot of psychic shit, and they became one of the most effective legions, if one of the smallest legions.
Mm-hmm. Hence, Thousand Sons.
So what happened? What had happened was everybody started getting mad at Magnus because Magnus was doing some shady shit. He would know things before he should have known things. He was at places he was not supposed to be. His legion were always sort of jumping in when unexpectedly, and a lot of the other legions distrusted psychic powers big time, or sorcery as they called it in these days. And I will say, Magnus did not know what he was getting into.
No.
Now, the Emperor is somewhat at fault for not taking Magnus and being like, all right, I can tell you're a little different from the rest of my dudes, so I'm going to break it down for you. Chaos gods, don't fuck with them. Entities, don't fuck with them. Don't talk to anybody in the warp. It's bad news. He didn't do it and sort of left Magnus out there to figure it out on his own. But Magnus was playing with powers that he didn't understand, and he made deals with entities that he shouldn't have made deals with, and he damned himself.
Are you telling me the Emperor was a bad dad?
Emperor was a very bad dad. We know this. Emperor is a terrible dad. One of the worst dads.
Not even the world's okay. Not even the world's okayest dad. He does not get a mug.
No. So back to our discussion. The Council of Nicaea was a trial for basically Magnus to defend why he uses psychic powers and why his legion uses psychic powers. And at the end of it, the Emperor was like, all right, no more psychic powers for the legions, just at all. And he had a reason for this. He was finding a way to bypass the use of the warp. And it makes sense, like, hey, that really dangerous thing that we don't need anymore, just don't fuck with it. Just don't do it. Now, he didn't tell anybody that he was bypassing the warp. He didn't give out his secret plans to just anybody. I think he shared them with some of the custodes and some of the people on Terra. But all Magnus had to do was just chill out for a little bit. Just maybe not go into the fucking warp all the goddamn time. Mm-hmm. Maybe not actively promote breaking the Emperor's edict within his legion. Maybe not do that.
Teenagers. It's just teenagers, except instead of finding a copy of Hustler in the woods, he found hell.
So tell me, no, seriously, Campbell, what's tragic about Magnus's story? That he tried to help and he fucked up?
I think they tried to help him and he fucked up. Like, granted, like, he got himself into that situation in the first place and he tried to right himself and it didn't work. And then once censure came to Prospero, he even just kind of said, like, I'm not fighting back, I accept my fate, up until basically the last minute. Like, he knew he had done wrong. He never meant to fuck up the Imperium. He never meant to kill people and unleash the warp on the Imperium, but he did anyway. So I find that to be sad, because it's a mistake. He kept digging. He dug a hole and he kept digging deeper as he tried to dig himself out, and that's relatable and sad.
I think he's an arrogant jerk who deserves nothing. Well, he deserves less than what he got, because right now he's a very successful demon prince with a very nice house
and very big nipple horns, very prominent nipple horns.
He's sort of near the top of the food chain in 40k right now, whereas he's one of the most powerful characters in the game, and just doesn't seem like anything's going to unseat him anytime soon. Reboot Gilman's back, maybe he can fucking kick him in the dick or something, but Magnus,
if he gets in close combat, I think so. But yeah, Magnus is the psychic might that can put armies down. So,
well, the Thousand Sons legacy of failure is not just on Magnus. Now they had a problem due to all the sorcery that they were using. Is they had a thing called the flesh change, where their legionnaires would just start spontaneously mutating.
They just like randomly burst into teeth and tentacles and mouths and all the kind of gross chaos spawn stuff you can think of, just in the middle of battle or just in the middle of any time, because it wasn't just when they're using psychic powers.
Directly linked to the use of the psychic powers.
Yes.
Yet they kept doing it anyways. Mm-hmm. So during the Horus Heresy, the chief librarian of the Thousand Sons, this guy Ahriman,
familiar name,
decides to stop the flesh change. So how does he do that? He takes away their bodies and imprisons them in armor.
To be fair, that wasn't the idea. The Ahriman's rubric was supposed to reverse the flesh change and instead turn them all into more or less soulless golems who are just essentially dust in their armor, which leads to their war cry, all is dust.
Yeah, their shitty war cry. The worst war cry in 40k.
It's admitting that they suck.
Fucking hi-ho silver. It's now Thousand Sons on the tabletop and the models or whatever, fucking awesome. We'll get there.
Yeah,
but Ahriman, just like his papa Magnus, failed big time. He's just a big giant loser. One of the biggest losers around.
All according to plan.
Yeah, and like maybe he's getting paid back for his arrogance that he thinks that he can stop something that Tzeentch wants, or he can buck up to Tzeentch and say, oh yeah, you've got this thing going on with my dudes, but I'm gonna stop this right here. And Tzeentch is like, ho, fuck you, guy, you didn't think about that, did you? But no, legacy of fucking failure. Bunch of clowns, complete buffoonery. Thousand Sons. That being said,
their models are dope.
They're so fucking cool.
So they've got this Egyptian theme that they've had ever since second edition, when they only had really one model, and they didn't even have a sorcerer back then. They just had one model in Ahriman, where they've got this very Egyptian sort of theme with a lot of the curved scimitar-esque swords and the big headdresses and Scarabs, a lot of scarab imagery, because Prospero was more or less space Egypt with these giant pyramid cities with towers made of diamond and all that stuff. Well, so they've got that aesthetic.
There's a lot of parallel between Prospero and the ancient city of Alexandria.
Oh yeah,
with the library
with all the knowledge. Yeah, but all the Thousand Sons were organized into cults. So there was the cult of the Corvidae and all this stuff that.
That was like battlefield roles, I think.
Yeah, it is battlefield roles, but it was all also, again, like very Egyptian themed, like animals that you'd find in Egypt and symbols that you typically see associated with ancient Egyptian art and culture.
Right.
But they've got the basic Thousand Sons troop marines, who are just the guys in the armor.
The
that are
rubric
all sand
marines, they're called.
Yep.
Which means
Rubric
if it's a rubric marine, it means that they are basically an animated suit of armor that doesn't have a personality or a will and is driven to battle by the sorcerers that lead them.
And those do have the will and the wherewithal that they used to have. They're the ones who are still around. Those are the veterans of the Long War. The rest are just more or less automatons.
Right. Because I guess that they had put a lot of the flesh changey guys in stasis before Space Wolves and Leman Russ attacked Prospero. And the Space Wolves and Leman Russ killed the vast majority of the Thousand Sons that weren't already flesh changed and in stasis.
At this point, it's more like the 47 Sons and 6 Sorcerers.
Yeah, something like that, yeah. So.
But there's also the Scarab Occult Terminators.
So
again,
cool.
drawing on that
oh my God,
Egyptian
the models.
theming. Yeah, they're so neat. The missile rack on one of them looks a little goofy, but the models themselves are great.
Go to fucking Games Workshop's website. Just stop what you're doing. Just look at the fucking models. They're so
real
fucking
pretty,
tight.
ain't
They got like Egyptian Gatling guns. They're so fucking cool.
Yeah, they're really great models, and they build in the Heresy Tartaros pattern Terminator armor, which I like a lot. Which is also what the Sekhmet had in the actual. Actually, I think
they get a lot of support in 30K.
They just
got a bunch
had
of new
Inferno
shit, right?
come out.
Yeah, they got a psychic dreadnought with some sick robes. They have battle automata or automata.
Yeah, their special own battle automata, their special own auto tomatoes.
Auto tomatoes. They're I think that like flavor wise, they have some of the coolest flavor out there. I know I'm joking around about their legacy of failure and they're a bunch of arrogant jerks, and they are. That's one of the hallmarks of that legion is nobility, and they look down on everybody who isn't a Thousand Son.
Yeah,
I mean every legion fucking does that, but they're like it's specifically known for being arrogant and noble. And maybe it's because they spend so much time fucking studying. Maybe it's because they're elitists.
Bunch of book learning nerds.
Bunch of book learning nerds. Well, fucking, they got their asses kicked by the least nerdy of all the legions in the Heresy.
The space jocks and the space wolves.
They're getting their revenge on the nerds in that tale. Oh, man. Oh no, well, that's wrong.
No, they got revenge of the nerds in Battle of the Fang.
Isn't Magnus besieging Fenris right now?
Yeah,
well, right now, in quotes.
That's Revenge of the Nerds, Gathering Storm Part 2.
Oh my God.
Or whatever. Yeah, no, they do get their revenge of the nerds.
They do, yeah. They're fucking,
or at least they're trying
fucking up Fenris. Fenris is like a demon world now.
Yeah, or it's in the process of it. God. But there will no longer be any wolves on Fenris.
All right, well, Thousand Sons are cool.
Yep.
The story vacillates from cool to dumb to cool again. Tzeentch is a cool chaos god. Magnus sucks, but Campbell apparently likes him. So Campbell,
I don't like him. I just sympathize with him a little bit.
Because, you're also a huge fuck up. So give us, Campbell, what we've been waiting for, our Tzeentch demon names.
Do you think Magnus likes anime?
I bet he fucking does.
Big fucking nerd.
The Blue Scribes are standing on a whole bunch of books of manga.
They're just nothing but how to draw manga books, and if you look over the shoulder, there's a really badly drawn like girl with a side mouth thing going on.
That's the reason why they can't look up from their books during battles. They're too busy reading about, I don't know what the fuck, tentacles. School children.
The most Yandere of Primarchs.
Don't know what that means.
Dan.
Yes.
Your demon name, which I rolled up before the show.
Where did you get the demon names from? Tell us how.
Realm of Chaos, or rather the excerpt from it that is in the Index Chaotica Apocrypha book that GW put out a few months ago, has this wonderful D20 by D10 name generator for making demon names. It is fantastic. I highly recommend tracking it down.
What's my demon name? Are we going to continue the thread that my demon name is way better than your demon name this time?
Maybe.
Ready. Give it to me. Worth it.
Your name, Dan, is Bane Belch Pest Suck.
What?
You are apparently the bane of belches and the sucker of pests.
Oh, God. Bane Belch, pests suck.
Yup.
Old Bane Belch. That's good.
Yeah, that's pretty all right.
That's a bad name, but it's funny. It works for the podcast. Awesome. What about you?
I am Grimwhip Fang Bubo.
What?
So the Bubos are like where the word boob comes from, and they're the part of like on your chest where the bubonic plague, that's like where it got the name, because that's the part that swelled up. So it's like right to the, like just on the edges of your
lymph nodes,
pectoral muscles, I guess. Yeah. So I guess this would be a guy with a really grim whip and teeth on those.
Oh, gross.
Grim Whip Fang Bubo.
Oh, gotta love those fang boobies.
So, Bane Belch, are you ready for everyone's favorite segment?
I am ready, fang boobs, for fact or fan fiction. The segment where Campbell, who has yet to... Well, I guess you have read actual
I've read
Black
a few.
Library stuff. But
Rarely.
He reads a piece of literary art, and I have to decipher whether or not it's fan fiction or published Black Library material. Last episode, he scalded my ears nearly off of my head with the fan fiction of the Fighting Tigers of Veda, which I had to stop because it was too painful. So I'm really excited to see what you got for me this time.
All right, here comes
Try not to choke, you disgusting piece of shit.
a fiction-esque object coming in your way.
Object of literary art. Wait, what was it? A jewel-like object of wonder?
Of wonder.
Okay, please continue.
Commissar! Cried the Imperial Guard units assigned Psyker. I sense a great power among the troops. It's a malevolent force, and so strong. Who is it? Asked the Commissar. And what do you mean a malevolent force? Have one of the Emperor's servants betrayed him to chaos? I cannot sense his location, sir. He is hiding his power, Commissar. All I sense is this great, overpowering presence. Well, I can take care of that, muttered the Commissar. Stepping out of the recess that him and his Psyker were talking in, he walked forward to his assembled troops. Men, we have a heretic among us. One of our own has betrayed us. Now, if the traitor does not step forth and beg for the Emperor's forgiveness, I may have to get a little persuasive.
I don't like where this is going.
Vegeta smirked when he saw the Commissar pull his lasgun. My favorite form of persuasion, he thought. After all, if you don't show those below you your power, however will they follow orders?
No!
They will constantly be trying to overcome you. It never hurts to call the flock a little, does it? Goku, who is standing only soldiers away from Vegeta, widened his eyes in shock when he saw the Commissar pull out his weapon. How could a leader kill his own men, he thought. Before his hero instincts kicked in, and he jumped out in front of the fired shot without any thought for his own safety. Saiyan and guardmen alike were stunned. Guardsmen were stunned by the fact a man survived what should have been a fatal shot. The Saiyans were stunned for two entirely different reasons. Vegeta, because Kakarot had the idiocy to ruin his own infiltration plan, a plan that the Saiyan prince didn't want any part in from the beginning, and Goku was stunned because in his heroic effort, he misjudged his leap towards the lasgun's fire and ended up tumbling towards the ground where he hit his head on a rock. Goku is currently trying to play with the little birdies flying around him. Kakarot, you baka, can you do nothing right? Asked Vegeta. Pulling up Goku from the ground with only a few complaints owing to play with the birdies, Vegeta dragged Goku over toward where the Psyker and Commissar
You
were.
are the worst person I know.
Every day's a treasure, Dan.
Are you fucking done, or is there more?
Oh, I'm like halfway done, but I could keep going if you want me to, which you totally do.
I don't, but it might be funnier if you do, so go.
They aren't worth our time, Kakarot, continued Vegeta. Up close, you can tell their power is different than, ours. We should just continue our search. However, Vegeta walked over to the Commissar and glared at him. I believe you're the highest ranking official here? No, don't answer. I know. I am a prince, human, the last prince of the Saiyans. Royalty deserves the best, after all, so I think I'll be taking your coat. I've grown fond of it. Removing the Commissar's coat, who was still mute from Vegeta's glare, the Saiyan prince slipped the garment on and then slapped Goku to get him out of his daydream. What? Vegeta? Goku exclaimed, waking up. You can't just take his coat. It doesn't belong to you. He doesn't mind. Do you? Vegeta asked the Commissar, looking pointedly at him while raising his power level. The Psyker, who began to feel Vegeta's massive well of energy, immediately started backing away, and the Commissar, who could also tell that an extremely powerful person was in front of him, raised his hands in a peace offering and then shook his head rapidly in fear. See, Kakarot, he agrees. It's a gift. But Vegeta, you cheated. Just shut up already. Take us out of here. Fine.
Okay,
but next time you get into trouble,
we're done.
I'm at the end.
Nope, that's it.
I'm
Take us out of here. Shut up already. I'm through. That's all I need.
But they were gonna try to depart the world and find a way home to Chi-Chi's cooking, whatever that is.
Oh my god. Ugh, that's so. Ugh, I feel gross now.
I know. You feel like a little sweatier than you were when you started.
I like how it was like extremely, like a lot of detail went into it, but nothing fucking happened.
Yeah.
Just like actual Dragon Ball Z episodes.
So it's actually pretty good representation of the source material if you really think about it. There's a lot of proper nouns, a lot of raising of power levels, and swelling energy.
This is how Tzeentch like creates a heretic, by the way. It's like this, and it's like, oh, if you think about it, it's pretty good, so just think about it some more. And then next thing you know, you've got madness. You got madness on your hands, and we're not the good kind of madness, not the fucking British or English or whatever ska band. You got the bad kind of madness. You got fucking anime.
Get madness and manga.
Ugh.
Hand in flat 2-dimensional hand.
I hate this. Why do I let you do this to me?
Why don't you let me do it to you more often?
All right, well, I think because it's a very poorly written with no character names other than shitty weeby Dragon Ball Z names, I gotta say it's fan fiction. I don't think that was actually published by Black Library.
Believe it or not, you're correct. It is Lost in the Imperium by Kurende.
Oh yeah, I knew that was coming.
What would happen if during the instant transmission blunder Goku and Vegeta were stuck in the Warhammer 40,000 universe no slash?
That's fantastic.
That's fan fiction.
You know, it is a book that has been published by Black Library, Campbell.
Cadian Blood.
Dude, I started reading it.
How good is it?
It's so fucking good.
So, this is our final reminder for the 40k Book Club. The book we are reading is Cadian Blood by Aaron Dembski-Bowden, which was his first Black Library book. The due date to finish it is May 23rd. If you haven't listened to the show before, or at least don't remember the last time we did the book club, we go in depth, we spoil the shit out of the book, and we talk a lot about what we liked, what we didn't like, the themes of the book, and all the other sort of stuff.
I'm really fucking enjoying it so far.
Dude, how many one-liners have you read, and how many times have they said Cadian Blood, ice in the veins, and how cool is it every time they do?
So they said it a lot, and there have been a few one-liners. I'm pretty light into the book so far. Haven't read too much. They just got seconded to the Inquisition, who I kind of like the Inquisitor.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's a little dickish, but he's kind of cool. I'm curious as to why the fuck I haven't read this book yet, because it's about fucking Imperial Guard and Raven Guard. What are two of my fucking 40k armies? Imperial Guard and Raven Guard. Yeah,
it's right up your alley, which is why I was surprised you hadn't read it either.
How did I not know about this? I gotta start paying attention or something, man.
And it's also the best, like, my favorite writer. Basically, when I read this book, I was like, you know what? I'm going to watch this guy. And he even has an ad in the back for the Night Lords books coming from him soon, which are fan-fucking-tastic.
Well, I'm really enjoying it so far. I cannot wait to finish it and break it down on the show with you. And guys, seriously, if you haven't read it, go pick it up. I got it for super cheap on Amazon. It was like $3 from a used bookstore in like Cincinnati or some shit. And it's worth it. It's awesome. I'm really loving it.
It's also a pretty quick read, so if you are late to the party, you could still get it and finish it by the time we put out our next episode.
Yeah, you got 2 weeks. You got 2 weeks to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you want to contact us for any reason, contact at 40kbadcast.com. You can try to get games with us. You can join my Blood Bowl League if you're local to the DC area. You can meet Campbell in a sweaty basement where people who were in the army for the last 10 years want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You could do that.
You can talk to townies with me.
We would love to meet you guys. We would love to hang out with you. And we love play these dumb children's games, so hit us up.
Yep.
We're ready.
You can also reach out to us independently on Twitter. I'm at BrotherSRM. Dan, you're at DB_sleazy.
That is correct.
And if you want to check out my YouTube channel, I just put out a review for Dawn of War 3. It is super long and super good. The review, not the game. At youtube.com/camhammershow.
The review
so
is
you can go
very
there and check it out.
entertaining. It is a good review. You do a good job with the video game footage.
Dude, a lot of people got really, like, when it came to Dawn of War 3 specifically, like, a lot of people gave really knee-jerky reactions and didn't really give any honest criticism. It was very lazy criticism, so I tried to put out something that was a little more in-depth. So if you want to find out why I do or don't like Dawn of War 3 and why it is or is not worth playing, check out my review, youtube.com/camhammershow.
So I've based my decision whether or not I'm gonna get Dawn of War 3 off of your show on YouTube.
Hey. I'm happy to advocate for the consumer.
I am not going to pick it up because you said that the meat and potatoes of the game and the main focus of the game is multiplayer.
It is.
And I am just terrible at multiplayer RTSs.
Yeah, it has a steep learning curve. It has a very steep learning curve.
So I think that it would just be a waste of my hard-earned dull hairs.
Fair. Well, once it's on sale, I'd say it's probably worth at least getting for the campaign if you want to try it out. It does orcs right.
Yeah,
Orcs
maybe if it ever hits like 50% off or something, I might pick it up. But like at $60, I'm just no.
Yeah, that's fair.
No thanks.
Gross.
Sorry. God damn it. Why do you fucking make all these disgusting fucking sounds into the goddamn mic when you know that I have to edit this shit?
Well, I can't help it. It's just my body.
Oh, that was a surprise to me too.
Are you like fucking pounding beers over there or what the fuck?
Don't tell me how to live my life.
All right, give us a fucking quote so we can get the fuck out of here.
A small mind is easily filled with faith.
And nobody's mind is smaller than Campbell McLaughlin's. I'm Dan Boyd. That's Campbell McLaughlin. We're going to get the fuck out of here. We're the 40k Badcast. And we'll see you next time.